Next is creating a table using the design view. In the design view, we have to create the structure of the table first. So, for the structure of the table, we should know the name of the fields and the data types of the fields. Before going in the details, let's understand what is this data type. The table structure indicates what kind of table has to be created. A table structure identifies the name, size and type of fields in the table. A table may store different type of data. So, the data entry varies according to the type of fields in a table. For example, if I create a table for a student, there would be different fields like serial number, name of the student, date of birth, address and contact number. Now out of these, the column roll number would contain only the digits or the numbers. So it is a data type number. The name would contain the alphabets. So it is another data type, means it would define which type of data would be stored in this field. So by the term data type, we are going to tell MS Access which type of data we are going to store in that particular field. In the field date of birth, we are going to store the dates. We are going to store the date of birth of the students. That means it would be of the data type date time. In the contact number, we are going to store the numbers. And in the field address, we are going to store the alphabets. So all these fields may contain different type of data. And based on that, which type of data we are going to store, we need to define their data types. In MS Access, there are various types of data type. Let's see these first. The first type of data type is text. The data type text contains letters, numbers and symbols. The length of the text field may be different. It can contain a combination of up to 255 characters. Means the data that we are storing in the data type text, it can be as long as 255 characters. Generally, the names are not too long, but when we are going to store the fields like address or some comment, it may go long. So the limit of this is 255 characters. It should not exceed 255 characters. Second is number. The data type number contains numeric values. It does not accept letters or other symbols except numbers. For example, if I am storing the roll number 708, 405, 102, all these are numbers. Similarly, if I am storing the marks of the students, that would also be number. The third data type is currency. It contains the number and the symbol of the currency before that. It may contain the decimal point or commas wherever needed. For example, if I had to write rupees 200, when I type it and make the data type currency, that rupees symbol would come automatically. Next is date time. This data type contains the date and time. We can store either the date or time or both in this date time. And one point to be noted that we can perform calculations on date time. For example, if I have an employee table, I have joining and leaving date of the employee. Then I can easily perform the calculation on dates. I would subtract date of joining from date of leaving and find out the number of days he has joined. Similarly, for the books, if I have issue date and the submission date of a book, I can subtract them and find out the number of days the book was with the user. Next is memo. The data type memo contains long text with all kinds of data. It is same like the text, but here the limit of 255 character is not there. So if I need to store longer data, longer string, I can use the memo data type. The next is yes, no. The data type yes, no represents only one of the two values, either yes or no, or true or false, or on or off. For example, for any field, suppose I write there, are you an resident of India? So it would have only two options, either yes or no. So for such type of data which would have only two answers, yes, no or true or false, then we would use the data type yes, no. So these are some of the data types that we are going to use when we would create the table. Now let's see how to create a table using the design view. Now we would learn to create the table using the design view. To create a table using the design view, we would go to the create tab again. On the create tab, second option is table design. From this option, we create the table in the design view. When I click on this, an interface would open. Let's see this interface first. The first column here is field name. That means the name of the fields of my table. The name of the columns of my table I would put here. And here in the column of data type, I would select the data type for my field. Means which column would accept which type of data would be selected from here. And in this description, I would enter some description about the field. This is optional, so if we want, we can enter the description. If we don't, we can. It is not compulsory. So let's start making the table. Suppose I am making this table for the members of the library. So my first field would be member ID. The data type of this would be number itself. So from this, when I click on this data type field, it would open a drop down window. From this drop down window, I would select the data type. For member ID, it is number, so I had selected the number. Second field is name, that is name of the members. Its data type would be, see, it is showing the message that name is a reserved for access, so we cannot have a column with the name. We had to write some other name. So we would select the name as member name. I'll write here member name. Now its data type would be short text. You can select the data type from here. It is short text. Then I would write here address, member address. Now this may be some long text, so from this drop down I would select long text. Then I would type here contact number of the member. So this may be number, it may be short text. Generally phone numbers will not take as numbers because in some cases phone numbers may contain a hyphen or a space. So generally it is a rule that we are taking the phone numbers, contact numbers as a text only. We are not taking it as a number, as we are not performing any calculations on them also. So this contact number also take as short text. So here we complete with our table design. This is the designing of the table. So my table is going to have 4 columns with these data type. Now I would save this table and click here and I would give the name as member table. When I give the name of member table and click on OK, my table would be created. It is asking for us to create a primary key. I would click on yes. The primary key is created by default by the system. Another column is added ID, which is the primary key for the table. Now my table is saved with the name member table. Now to enter the records in this table, we have to go to the datasheet view. We cannot enter the records in the data in the design format, or in the design view we cannot enter the records. Design view is only for designing the table. To enter the records in the table, we have to go to the datasheet view. To go to the datasheet view, we have to click on view. This view is present on the design tab. On the design tab, we have to click on view and click on datasheet view. My member table is open in the datasheet view now. You can see this automatically generated ID is there. Member ID I put here 1010. Member name, I can put any member name here. Then member address we have to enter, and contact number. So this is my first record. As I enter, my first record would be enter. This ID is automatically generated, so will not enter. Member ID, I would suppose enter 1012. Name, address. So this way we can enter the records in our table. To save the records, we have to click on save button. The table would be saved with the records. So just keep in mind, in the design tab or in the design view, we can only design the table, and in the datasheet view we can